Hello, dear friend. Here we are at Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m. We are here to study another chapter of the book Mediumship and Attunement. This book was psychographed by Chico Xavier. The spirit author is Emmanuel, and the book was psychographed in 1985 to 1986, so more than 33 years ago. And finally, this book is coming about in English. And we're here with you to share the first chapter, which is titled Human Trees. Yesterday, when we started it, we read the preface. In the preface, Emmanuel describes mediumship as a creative force, as a mental force. He describes to us that attunement is about mutual cooperation. So he asks us to meditate on what we are tuning with, whom we are tuning with, our deepest intentions. In chapter 5 of this book, he is titling it Examine Your Desire. So it's very interesting. Spiritism is not knowledge, simple knowledge. The good spirits did not bring these teachings for mere knowledge, like many people think, accumulating knowledge. But they bring us new understanding. And with new understanding, we have new feelings. And when we have new emotions, new sentiments, of course, everything is going to change. Right? When we talk about all of it, now we have the opportunity to discuss it. Emmanuel today is going to talk about human trees. What is it? And I see beautiful friends coming in. Welcome, friends. Join us. Join us. Hello, Valeria. How are you? Raquel Leong. How are you? Missed you tonight at the center, right? Thank you for the kindness. Daisy, missed you too. Celia Lancaster, Karina Alice, how are you? Leia Severo, thank you, Leia. Jailton, how are you? Paula, missed you too. Thank you so much, Paula. Teresa Castro, how are you? Ana Luisa, our beautiful prima ballerina, how are you? Sunshine, how are you? So welcome, friends, and if you're watching on demand, like hi to Perla, hi to Rihanna. Sometimes Rihanna is here with us, right? Or often, sorry, Rihanna. But big hug to you, Nora Brazil, and many friends from around the world. Are you ready? This is just a warm-up, you know? Yes, it's so important to be human. But what is to be human? He's going to talk about human trees, but let us define. Human is a different kingdom. According to science, we're in the animal kingdom. According to Spiritism, we are in a new kingdom, the kingdom of human beings. And what is it all about? It's about not being animals, meaning we give one step from instinct to discernment, consciousness, free will, responsibility, right? And thus we change everything. Correct? Hello, Senora Liz, how are you? And the beautiful family. Big hug. So let us read. Prepared? Human trees. In the light of the Spiritist doctrine, the gospel scripture does not refer to mediums, categorizing them by beams of light or stars, angels, or saints. With much propriety, it referred to mediums as fruitful trees, and we know enough that trees produce according to their species. They do not live without either irrigation or fertilizer. However, the excess of one or the other may spoil them. They do not live without... In reality, fruitful trees do not neglect the care and the affection of attentive cultivators. However, they are forced to tolerate wind and rain, heat and storm. They are blessed by nests and melodies of friendly birds. However, they bear plagues that sometimes devour them away, and mobs of irresponsible individuals that rip away their stalks and flowers. They register the gratitude of the good souls that gather their gifts and usefulness, but they bear the assault of those who take branches and fruits through smashes of violence. And while caring the growers assure their existence, fruitful trees are themselves submitted to careful and providential pruning for better yielding and improved production. So are the mediums of the earth, who are placed on the ground of experience for the extension of the general good. Therefore, let us note that, like precious trees, all mediums, however dignified, as is the case of any human individual, they raise their thoughts toward heaven. However, they keep their own feet in the difficulties and deficiencies of the ground. That's a human tree. That's a medium, a human medium. Yeah, on earth, exactly. I know, this is deeper than we can imagine. For some, we browse through this. Oh yeah, piece of cake. But let's go back and observe the mastery of Emmanuel, because Emmanuel is one of the highest intellectuals, Christianized intellectuals, if not the most, on the earth. And we're not going to dispute it, but just in the group of those who are working side by side with Jesus. There are many intellectuals, but Christianized intellectuals is another story. When we read the book Good News, Boa Nova by Humberto de Campos, we see he mentions in the preface about the schools of the gospel in the beyond. It's not for everyone. In those schools, we cannot enroll ourselves just because we want to learn. We really need to have enough vibration to do so. So we're talking about Emmanuel being one of these spirits that already vibrates what he's saying. He vibrates the proposal of the Christ. So first exercise for our hearts today. How much am I vibrating the knowledge that we have acquired since the coming of the Christ? Because sometimes we just take our time in the comfort zone, because society nowadays allows us to be in many ways as crazy as we want to be, as incoherent as we want to be. Sometimes people find it beautiful to be inconsistent, incoherent, and we use 10,000 masks. Psychology explains this. But one day, time comes and shows to us that we need to give one more step ahead. For all of us, the invitation is the same. Emmanuel now is talking about mediumship. And he's saying, first and foremost, since the gospel, since Jesus' coming, mediums are not special beings. When Jesus said, you can do everything that I do and much more, You are God. He's saying you're mediums. You're mediums. You're capable of more than you can imagine. And we've been listening to this for 2,000 years, and yet we don't pick up the pace. We doubt. We postpone. We hesitate. We deter the march. Let's go to the Spirit's book by Kardec, Law of Progress. Kardec asked, can I deter the march of progress? Yes, we can. We can delay our progress and the collective progress. Progress is inevitable. We never go back. We never regress. But it's possible to stagnate. Inertia. And that's dangerous. So tonight we're asking ourselves if we're stagnated. One rule of thumb for us to leave the realm of old conditionings is to tell ourselves when we're in the comfort zone, I've been there, done that for many lives. I need to challenge myself to the new. I need to push myself to new proposal. No longer vanity. No longer the external, the appearance, the statics of life. We need depth. We need solidity, substance. We need a Christ. Love, fraternity, but firmness. His proposal is easy, but people didn't take it easy. Because so loving as he was, so kind as he was, but firm, yet firm and courageous, determined, it's a paradox that to date puzzles many people. We're still thinking that we cannot be that holistic. It's either or. Either you're kind or firm. And we need to teach our children. You can be kind and firm. So when the teacher comes to you and you need to say something, you don't need to be unkind and firm to prove that you're so smart. And you don't need to play kind and not firm because you want to be nice. You can be kind and firm. I'm not a master, so I cannot tell you how it is. But we need to meditate on this and look at the teacher, Jesus. He is the one. So when we read the book Good News, right? It's there. Humberto de Campos describes his kindness. He's loving, accepting, gentle, but so courageous to come at that time on the earth, coming from above. Pretty tough. For him, for his love, we could feel the determination, the courage, his faith in God, in spite of it all. Right? So he says, actually, since Jesus, we learn that mediums are fruitful trees. Meaning, trees that give fruits. But it's not a given. He talks about cultivation of it to make it come out. So mediumship is not going to sprout out of the blue. If it does, you have been already exercising previous lives, and in this life you need a push to really pay attention and work on it. But all of us, we have our intellectual abilities, emotional abilities, our spiritual abilities, including mediumship. So if you are a spiritist who has learned all of these books, you take courses, you go anywhere, but you never participated in a mediumistic meeting, You don't want to go there. You don't want to develop exercise your mediumship. Ay, ay, ay. What are you waiting for? This is the time to learn, to prepare yourself, because inevitably we're all mediums and we need to give fruits. You and I remember the passage of Jesus' parable of the dry fig. The dry fig tree didn't produce anything. What happened? Cursed. But what does that mean? It means that if we do not put it out, it's going to die out. Mediumship? No, but the possibility of using it. Kardec talks about it in the Medium's book, in the chapter about the laws of mediumship. Okay? And we're going to learn that we need to educate it. Kardec was the first one on the earth to create a system, a framework, we would say, safe one. And I say Kardec in the sense of all the spirits. A safe framework to study it and practice it. That's why he talks about spirits, foundational concept, mediums, etc., types of mediumship, etc., etc., and then last, how he operated on it, the laws, the rules and regulations in the center, telling us a center needs rules. But you know, the inferior spirits don't like rules, don't like regulations. Only superior spirits like rules and regulations. So if we have a hard time appreciating order, rules, regulations, discipline, we need to expedite it. Because if we keep ourselves in the, as we say in French, the laissez-faire, do whatever we like, we're not going to progress. We need to make an effort, practice something new, and in repeating it, we acquire new conditionings. Okay? So he says to us, these fruitful trees, they produce according to their own species. Like mediums, we have different types of mediums. Read it in the medium's book. And then he says, the trees, they need irrigation and fertilization. And it has to be at the precise frequency and intensity, he says. The excess of one on another may spoil the tree. What is it to do with mediumship? We need service. Service is irrigation. Okay? Fertilization means constantly instructing, reading, and studying. That's why in the Gospel according to Spiritism, we revisit the commandment of the Spirit of Truth. Love one another and instruct yourselves. So we need irrigation for the mind, fertilization, service, and study, without which mediums cannot produce. And in reality, fruitful trees do not neglect the care and the affection of attentive cultivators. However, they are forced to tolerate wind and rain, heat and storm. You know that no medium works alone. They have a guardian angel, protecting spirit, at least one that is going to be around, knows exactly what you need, loves you so much, so you're not alone. You don't need to ask 10,000 people. Subject, the first surrender is to God and then the protecting spirits. And then I look at the spirits and I say, you are assigned by God to guide me. Can I subject myself more easily so you guide me more easily? Because usually we ask for other people's guidance, but we don't work on our connection with what? The attentive cultivators, Mamma Mia. Our protecting spirits. That doesn't mean that we're not going to calibrate ourselves in the group works. It means that we need this verticalization of our mediumistic education, right? Does that mean we're going to believe anything? No, we're always going to pass through our discernment until one day it becomes very distinct. Our inner voice and the voice of the protecting spirits. But we need quietude. People want to be on the cell phone, TV, talking to people, and they want 5 minutes going home and say, now I want to listen to my guardian angel. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. Why? Because we don't know how to listen. We just know how to do stuff. We are always on the doing. And by always being on the go, we forget that it is in the quietude in the listening that we are able to capture, right? To receive the messages. Like Mother Teresa once said when asked, what do you pray to God? And she says, I don't say anything. I just listen to God. But what does God say to you? And she said, well, He listens to me. How deep is this? It's about that inner. So we need to turn off everything. Sometimes we're afraid, right? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone. Turn off the cell phone, turn off TV, turn off Alexa, turn off everything. Oh my gosh, you're not alone. We are not alone. We are never alone. It's just an illusion. It's more populated in the discarnate realm than in the incarnate realm. And that's why many people escape away to the digital life because they don't want to listen. Sometimes it's too noisy because their frequency is too noisy. So we need to tune into, remember attunement, tune into the right networks. Vanessa, it seems to be simple. Who am I to say it's not simple? So much so that Emmanuel says, in spite of the care of the attentive cultivators, the trees need to put up with wind and rain, heat and storm. But that's where problems begin. Because mediums, they stop when problems happen. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're so childish that we always break down as, I'm being punished. I'm doing something wrong. First thing they do, they stop their mediumistic education. Big mistake. Imagine if the trees that are around during snow, if they stop saying, I quit. Too much snow. We wouldn't have trees anymore. They are so resilient. They just stay put. Snow is going to be there. You look around and it seems that they are dead. But they're not dead. They are just waiting. That wisdom we can only acquire at human level if we feel God so much that we'll never doubt that God loves us no matter how many impediments. It's not about punishing. It's about being educated. Be resilient. Be persistent. Be determined. In spite of it all, believe. Believe in God. Believe in you. Believe in the divine in others, including the discarnate spirits that come to the meetings. I mean, they are everywhere. They don't come to the meetings. They are there, right? So let us observe. Resilience is about the life of a tree. Where's your resilience? Where is your faith? So tonight, we're tuning up, calibrating ourselves. Let us tell ourselves, I am resilient. I am resilient. I am resilient. I am determined. I am determined. I am determined. God believes in me. God believes in me. God believes in me. It's not about punishment. It's about education. God is educating us, making us grow to be these fruitful trees. But stay there. Think of the trees, the beautiful pine trees, and the snow on them. They don't give up. They stay put, and they keep working underneath. They keep operating, doing their part. This is the same for us, my friends. No matter the hardships, let's be like a tree, solid, rooted in, and obedient to God. And he says more. They are blessed by nests and melodies of friendly birds. However, they bear plagues that sometimes devour them away. And they are harassed by irresponsible individuals that rip away their stalks and flowers. Of course, like trees, there will be people who will come and use our resources, feel the benefits and leave their benefits. But there will be others who will kick and scream and shout and badmouth and slander. Is the tree gonna give up on being a tree? Is the apple tree gonna give up on being an apple tree because people are there picking up the apples? No. And sometimes people are harsh, disrespectful to the plants, to the trees. So for us, we need to ask ourselves, do you do what you do because others agree with you and approve of you? Or do you do it because it's in your inner conscience and it's under God's approval? Because if we expect that others are going to understand and approve, and we're never going to progress. Because there are times in our lives in which we need to do what we need to do. And it's not going to go in accordance with people's lives. Right, Carol Correa? Right? Thank you for being here, my friend. Valéria Sordi. How are you? Juliana Bonatis. Just a short break, friends. Now, he says, the trees register the gratitude of the good souls that gather their gifts and usefulness, but they also bear the assaults of those who come by and sometimes match them in violence. And that will happen with all of us. I know people who say, I'm gonna stop. I keep doing the good and people are so ungrateful. But you know, just a secret, between us. Chapter 3 of the book Thought and Life. It says, cooperation. And it says here, from divine glory to subatomic particles, the universe may be defined as a connecting chain of lives that interweave with the greater life. So he's saying here to us that we are cooperating with God. So I don't need to expect any recognition. Because at the end of the day, the good that we do doesn't come from us. It's just through us, not from us. It comes from God. So then I shield myself from that unneeded frustration. And then you keep marching, in spite of it all. Right, Rosemary? We keep on going. And he says, and while carrying growers assure their existence, fruitful trees are themselves submitted to careful and providential pruning for better yielding and improved production. That's something we don't expect. Limitations, limits, constrictions, temporary transformation, pruning. Sometimes it's their beautiful production, and then life comes, and we're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Well, look at Chico Xavier. He had moments of restrictions and constrictions, diseases, family issues. He never took it as God's punishment. I think today one of the main themes for us is to get rid of that myth that we carry from many lives. That whenever life challenges us, we're being punished. It's not a punishment. There are many people connected to us. There is a reason why this comes handy now. It's a blessing in disguise. So we need to learn to bless the bumps of the road, the stops of the road, the prunings of the road, and be easy. We don't want to be spoiled kids that give a tantrum whenever life shuts a door before us and then creates a mess in our lives, right? So he finalizes this chapter by finally connecting his metaphor with the real goal of the chapter. Trees and mediums, so are the mediums of the earth, who are placed on the ground of experience for the extension of the general good. So wherever you are, that's the soil where you need to be fruitful. Therefore, let us note that like precious trees, we raise our thoughts to heaven, but we are keeping our feet in our difficulties and deficiencies of the ground. So tonight, we're thanking Emmanuel for grounding us, because many people think of mediumistic practice as a dream, easy breezy. No, we're on the earth. When we practice mediumship on the earth, it's as if you are volunteering to work in an ER or in a trauma center or in a psychiatric hospital. It's not simple. And our lives won't be shielded because we're doing that work. Because to work on our mediumship really is a redemption for us. Many people want to pay their debts by being sick, no. We pay by doing the good. And when we devote ourselves to being mediums, bringing consolation, spreading the good news, being a nurse to the spirits that are ill, and being of a helping hand or a bridge in between two worlds, bringing consolation to the incarnate as well, we then become a fruitful tree. Read about Chico Xavier's life. Watch the movie that was done about him. And you're gonna see someone who really became a fruitful tree. He was not born a fruitful tree. And we know it because he cried. Sometimes he didn't like certain things, but he educated himself. So this book is about educating ourselves. Right, Teresa Castro? Grow where you're planted, exactly. So friends, let us fructify, and fulfill God's will wherever we are. Shall we? Right? And all it takes is goodwill. Shall we? So let us raise our thoughts to God and say thank you for planting us where we are. May we embrace the soil of this life and be easy in the hands of your dedicated cultivators. And yet, give us strength to go through the challenges of life, to go through the difficulties in our lives, and to embrace your proposal of love. Thank you for the opportunity of being together. And may all the people who are at this moment in the world suffering from cruelties, lacerations, inner problems, may they feel your loving and kind embrace. And never give up. Raise their brows to heaven and reaffirm their belief, their feelings of your providence, your loving providence. And so be it. That's it. Thank you, friends. Thank you, God, for allowing us to be here. Thank you. A big hug. And tomorrow we have more here at 11 p.m. Mediumship and Attunement with Emmanuel. And until then, God willing, friends.